would love to know how many of these 10 fragrances do you guys have in your collection as well. Please leave it down in the comments section. I would love to see how many of you have, how many you guys have out of these 10. I'm the man in black. I want you to remember. I am the man in black. Yeah. Let's go. What is going on YouTube, man? It's your boy Darian here, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. On the channel, we talk about fragrances. We talk about fashion as well as lifestyle. So if that's interesting to you, man, I hope y'all will consider going ahead and subscribing to the channel. You know, it don't cost you nothing, I promise you. Hit subscribe and watch. No charge, no cover charge. Consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon as well to ensure you get notified anytime I upload new content on the channel. All right, guys, so today's style tip. I am rocking a pair of frames. Of course, you guys know how I rock. These are by my guy, Tom Ford. So I'm rocking these frames because I want to give you guys a style tip. Now, when you're inside, outside, I work in an office environment. So when I am, of course, driving to work, I like to wear, of course, a nice pair of Tom Ford frames with these shades. Love these shades right here, but when I get inside, I go from this to this. Another pair of frames, of course, by Tom Ford as well. So when I get inside, you can still maintain kind of the same look, but of course, you want to go with the glasses, which are a similar frame, but of course have the clear lens. So that's how you transition to being fly from the outside and take it in to the inside. So on today's video, guys, I'm going to be talking about 10 fragrances that I feel like every beginning fragrance collector should have in their collection. Now, there's various reasons for the 10 selections on this list. Of course, I'm going to get into that when we get into the list, but that's what we're going to be getting into. So if you've been into fragrances for a while, this will kind of be a good barometer based on what I say. You know, take a look at your collection and see if you have these 10 fragrances in your collection. But of course, if you're just starting out, these are 10 great recommendations that, again, I feel like every fragrance collector that's starting should at least have these 10 fragrances in their collection. So if you want to see what's on the list, you know how we do, you know how we get down. Keep it locked right here.
Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in, man. We're going to be talking about 10 designer fragrances that I think every beginning collector should have in his or her collection. So, however we're doing that, we're doing that. Guys, don't forget, go ahead and check out my latest 3 releases with Navitus, man. It's 3 amazing fragrances. Wow, you can get a discount on these fragrances. Again, we have one of the best gourmands that's on the market. That will be on the market, Divine Aphrodisiac. Trust me, check it out. Eau Debonair as well as Sartorio Nuit. Again, 3 amazing fragrances. Right now, you can get them at that discount. So head over to Navitus Parfums and check those out. And last but not least, before I go into these 10 fragrances, I want to send a shout out to my man Antonio over at Real Men, Real Style. I'm sure you guys have probably noticed over the last 2 years or so, Antonio has been a lot more active as it relates to talking about fragrances. Very extensive collection, and although he started off more talking about men's lifestyle and men's style, when he started talking about fragrances, he knows his stuff. And he released 3 fragrances of his own last year, and he was nice enough to send me the fragrances to check out. And it comes in a box like this. All right, and the presentation is really nice. You flip it open there, and the fragrances rest inside. So there are 3 fragrances. I hope you guys can see that. And they come with a nice mission statement, man. It says, "Honor your commitments and be courageous in the face of adversity." Now, the reason that's the mission statement is because there are 3 fragrances. One is called honor, one is called courage, and one called commitment. So hence you get the name or the phrase, honor your commitments and be courageous in the face of adversity. Now I am testing these out. I will tell you, spoiler alert, I think that courage is my favorite. But again, I'm testing right now, so I want to come back and really give you guys a true, rundown of what I think about Antonio's fragrances. But he's a good guy, man. We chopped it up from time to time. So again, congratulations, Antonio. I'm testing these out, and I'm gonna come back and let you guys know what I really think about all three of the fragrances that he had. He released last year. I think it was around October. All right, guys. So getting into the list, the first fragrance that I think every collector should have in his collection is this one from the house of Versace. It's Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Anytime I talk about great designer fragrances, regardless of price point, this is one I want to talk about. One of the best fragrances that you can have when it is hot outside. Spring, summer, this is an amazing fragrance. Now, there's a note in here called Cambola, which is starfruit. Very, I would say it's a more exotic kind of note. You don't see it a lot in fragrances, and that is a highlight and a standout in this scent. But when people are first starting their collections, a lot of times they're not into the heavier, darker, more gourmand or resinous fragrances in the beginning. But this is something like this that's always one that can't miss. So I think every collector should have this in their collection, not to mention the fact that you can find it anywhere at a reasonable price. This is from the house of Versace. This is Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Now, this next fragrance is one that you're going to hear a lot of folks talk about and refer to it as one of the best office fragrances that you can buy. And this is from the house of Prada, and this is called Prada L'Homme. Prada L'Homme, an amazing office fragrance. But this thing, I'm telling you, it has some versatility to it as well, because you can actually wear this fragrance out and about with, like a black tie event. It is that good. Now, from what I understand, the Prada L'Homme Intense has been discontinued. I don't know if this one will soon follow. I hope not, but this is a great fragrance. Iris is the main note here. And I really feel like Iris was popularized by the Dior Homme line. But this fragrance came out and they put a twist on it that made it more sexy, kind of date night appropriate Iris. Great to wear in an office setting. And so that's why I think this is one that everybody needs to get their nose on and every beginning collector should have in their collection. So check it out. Again, this is from the house of Prada, and this is called Prada L'Homme. Now, the next fragrance up on this list is one that is highly touted as one of the best date night fragrances for men, designer or niche. And this is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this is called lanuitdlhomme. Lanuitdlhomme. Now, you're going to hear a lot of talk about older formulations and all this bad stuff. Don't worry about any of that right now. That's just going to confuse you. And honestly, it's not that important, because at the end of the day, as long as the fragrance, you get, at least 4 hours or so out of the fragrance, just take it and reapply or take a decant. It's that simple. But at the end of the day, this is an amazing date night fragrance, and this one really popularized the note of cardamom. Cardamom is a cool spice note that kind of gives this spicy, sometimes slightly sweet nuttiness to fragrances, and that's exactly the kind of cardamom that you get in this fragrance. This stuff is absolutely fantastic, man. Again, just simply put, it's one of the best designer fragrances, in my opinion, that's ever been released. Regardless of batch, regardless of performance, this is one of the best to this day. So make sure you guys get this one in your collection as well. It's just phenomenal, man. This is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this one is called lanuitdlhomme. Now, I would be remiss if I did not have this fragrance on the list, because when you guys were growing up, you probably saw this on somebody that you knew. You saw it sitting in their bathroom or on their dresser. And this one is from the house of Jean Paul Gaultier, and this is called Le Male. Le Male. Man, you just gotta have this in your collection, man. This vanilla lavender mint based fragrance is phenomenal. It was done by master perfumer Maison Francis Kirkdown when he worked for Jean Paul Gaultier back in the day before he started his own fragrance line. And this is a classic fragrance, and to me, it's still good today. There have been several fragrances that have come along after this that a lot of people have compared to this fragrance, Le Male, but To me, again, this is a very, at least when it came out, it was a very unique fragrance DNA. This was in the era of all the freshies, you know, all the freshies, the Acqu Di Gios of the world. And this came in and started to kind of change the game. Classic fragrance for a reason. I still have about this much left in my bottle, but when I run out, I'm going to re-up because this is one I think you should always have in your collection. From the house of Jean Paul Gaultier, this is the Torso. This is called Le Male. All right, guys, now the next fragrance on the list, this is a flanker. And the original fragrance was, I just actually mentioned it a few seconds ago, from the house of Giorgio Armani, and I'm talking about Acqua di Gio Profumo. Now, even with the new flanker, the Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum, again, the original Acqua di Gio was released in 1996. Still the best-selling fragrance, to my knowledge, best-selling fragrance of all time. And it got that recognition for a reason. It was a really great, fresh, aquatic fragrance. But when they introduced this fragrance, I think a few years ago, I mean, to me, this was a game changer. This is a game changer because this made that scent DNA even better. And that's really saying something. They added incense and patchouli to that fragrance DNA. So you still get that, that aquatic nature, that freshness. But you also get a little bit of character and depth. And this is a fragrance where you can really start as a newer collector to get into richer, darker notes like incense. You can patchouli, you can start to get into notes like that, but still have that very familiar aquatic or citrus kind of fragrance that a lot of people are comfortable with when they're first starting out collecting. So this is a really safe bet right here. One of the best designer fragrances ever created, in my humble opinion. This is from the house of Giorgio Armani, guys, and this is called Acqua di Gio Profumo. All right, this next fragrance. Now, this is definitely still one of the best designer fragrances ever created, and definitely the top 2 or 3 date night designer fragrances ever created. From the house of Dolce & Gabbana, this is called The One, and this is the EDP or Eau de Parfum concentration. Still, as I said, one of the best date night fragrances in my collection. This is such a well done fragrance. Another one that you may hear some talk about performance, but don't worry about that right now, because again, the average date only lasts 3 to 4 hours for the most part anyway. That's enough time to get in a great dinner and a movie, trust me. So this particular scent is going to feature notes of tobacco, orange blossom, and amber. Again, perfect for a date night. I think every collector beginning their collection should have this one in their fragrance arsenal. So make sure you get this one, guys, if you don't have it already for some reason. From the house of Dolce & Gabbana, this is called The One Eau de Parfum. All right, the next fragrance on the list is from the house of Hermes, and this is the original Terre de Hermes. Now, I really feel like every collector should have this one that's starting out because, again, most collectors are kind of like I was when I started out. You don't come into collecting fragrances loving oud and incense and benzoin. You know, you don't really come, most people don't come into fragrances really loving those kinds of scent profiles. Again, it's the citruses, the aquatics, the more mass appealing kind of scents. That's just what it is. But this fragrance has that very nice orange citrusy opening to it, but this is going to give you a chance to kind of get that grown man swag because of that gunflint and that vetiver, earthy, rooty vetiver in this fragrance. But it still smells great. It still has the, you know, that citrus that a lot of you newer collectors are accustomed to, and you'll be more comfortable still wearing a fragrance like this, although it features, again, that gunflint and that earthy vetiver note. So this is one that I think every beginning collector should have, because when you put on a suit, this is one that you can always reach for. It's very classy and very gentlemanly without being too old man. And that's why I recommend this one from the house of Hermes. Again, this is called Terre de Hermes. Now, this next fragrance is going to be on the list for obvious reasons. It's kind of like if we were talking about niche fragrances, I would talk about Creed Aventus. This is one you're going to hear a lot about when you first start collecting, and this may be the one that got you into the hobby. From the house of Christian Dior, this is Dior Sauvage. This is the Eau de Toilette. This fragrance was released in 2015, and simply put, this along with another fragrance on this list just changed the way people thought about blue fragrance DNAs, and of course the use of heavy ambroxan in this one. Won't spend much time on it. everybody knows what this is and what it's about. This is from the house of Christian Dior, but you definitely need to have this. This is called Dior Sauvage. Now, speaking of blue fragrances coming into the fragrance world and changing the game, this along with Dior Sauvage kind of changed the blue fragrance DNA and how people think about it to me. And this is from Chanel. This is Bleu de Chanel. Bleu de Chanel. Now, this is probably one of the first times for a lot of beginning collectors where if you are used to paying the discounted prices for fragrances, that you'll probably have to reach up and pay close to full retail. Chanel does not discount fragrances often. I mean, it's very rare that you go to a discounted website and see Chanel fragrances. So more than likely you'll have to cough up close to full retail for this one. But in this case, it will be worth it. This is an extremely versatile scent DNA. You can wear it year round. It's signature scent worthy. And this will kind of be your first step up to paying a little bit more for a fragrance and understanding that fragrance to quality price point ratio. This will be your introduction to that, but still give you that wearability that a lot of people are comfortable with early on and used to. So definitely one that every beginner should have in this collection from the house of Chanel. This is called Bleu de Chanel. And last but not least on this list, one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time from the house of Burberry. This is Burberry Touch. Burberry Touch. And this is on the list because when you think about accessibility, meaning where you can purchase this fragrance from, you think about price point, you think about the quality of the fragrance, and you think about the versatility. This is one of the best designer fragrances in my entire collection. Beginning fragrance collectors oftentimes aren't that comfortable spending exorbitant amounts of money for a fragrance. And you don't have to do that to smell great, and this is 100% proof of that. Burberry Touch. Again, one of my favorite designer fragrances, one of my favorite fragrances, period. It's so versatile, you can wear it anywhere, any time of the year, and it smells great, and it's a really well done fragrance. I think the house of Burberry overall doesn't really get the credit it deserves for the quality fragrances that they produce, but that's another video for another time. But guys, if you're a beginning collector, this is one that I really feel like everybody should have. It's darn good for what you're gonna pay for it. From the house of Burberry, this is Burberry Touch. All right, guys, that's it, man. I hope you enjoyed this list today as I gave you 10 designer fragrances that I think every beginning collector should have in their collection. How did you guys do? How many of these fragrances do you have in your collection? Whether you're just starting out or if you've been collecting for a while, I would love to know. How many of these 10 fragrances do you guys have in your collection as well? Please leave it down in the comments section. I would love to see how many of you guys have out of these 10. As always, I sincerely appreciate your time and attention to these videos. You guys don't have to watch, but you do. And I sincerely appreciate it. Now don't forget to make sure you go ahead and take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you are sharing these videos out to some other folks that you think could use this information and find it entertaining. I'm your guy. I'm Darren. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.